Hello Wargamers, today I want to talk to you about some exciting news regarding the upcoming Tau release. We have just gotten rules on one of the two Fire Warrior variants, the Breacher team, as well as some leaked images about upcoming Tau Raven Guard campaign, as well as a new piece of Tau terrain. In fact, the first piece of Xenos terrain to be released by Games Workshop. So, let's talk about the Breacher team, and then I can get into some of the stuff about the terrain and the campaign box. So first of all, the Breacher team, standard Fire Warrior profile, ballistic skill 3, toughness 3, 4-up save, 9 points. So not a lot has changed there, but everything else is different. And it's actually quite exhilarating, some of the changes that they're making, just because they're so nuanced. It's not a very static strategy that they're suggesting with all these new releases, and this is no exception. So really, the main thing that makes these guys special is their weapon, which is another one of these weapons that has a different effect based on how far away the target is. From 0 to 5 inches, it's Strength 6, AP 3, Assault 2. These are all Assault 2 profiles. So up to 5 inches, Strength 6, AP 3, 5 to 10 inches, Strength 5, AP 5, and then 10 to 15 inches, it is what? Strength 4, AP dash. So you know, a real sharp cutoff for its effective range there, right? It's a short range and really only worth anything at ranges closer than 10 inches, and really you're going to be taking it for its profile at 5 inches or less. So really different than the standard Fire Warrior that we're used to with the Pulse rifle, which of course is range 30, strength 5, AP 5, and so that's kind of the benchmark that you can use to determine whether or not this weapon is going to be better than just a normal Fire Warrior, which presumably is the rumored, or in some ways verified, Striker team that we have yet to see the rules for. These guys come with a whole bunch of really interesting war gear, but I don't think you're going to want to take any of it, and I'll tell you why in a moment. It has the option to take an MV-36 Guardian drone, which itself has a 5++ and vulnerable save. And then all other models in its unit have 6-up and vulnerable save. However, this is improved to 5-up and vulnerable save if they have an amplifier, if that model has an amplifier, which the Breacher team does. So if they take one of these drones, they're going to have a 5-up and vulnerable save as well. They can also take something that people have been asking for a long time, and that is a heavy weapons support turret, which has some pretty cool rules. It's a DS8 tactical support turret. These guys can take one with either a smart missile system or a missile pod for 10 points. And basically the way it works is it's ballistic skill 3, and if the unit doesn't move in the movement phase, they can deploy this turret, and it acts like any other model shooting. However, the turret cannot move, and if the unit moves outside 2 inches of it, it is destroyed, and if an enemy unit gets within 2 inches of it, it is destroyed. However, in subsequent turns, the unit can redeploy that turret even if it's lost. So that's pretty cool, to have an indestructible weapon in your unit, assuming that the unit isn't completely wiped out. So there might be some argument there for taking Bonding Knife Ritual if you take one of these, but like I said, I don't think you're going to want to, at least with the Breacher team. Yeah, so yeah, okay, I guess I'll talk about why you're not going to do that. Basically, this weapon is potentially going to be really interesting if you can get these guys into a cheap Devilfish. If Devilfish get reduced in points, this can be potentially a really effective unit at going in there, disrupting enemy movement, and taking out lightly armored vehicles, as well as some modestly armored vehicles. If you get a strength 6 shot, as well as potentially EMP grenades, they can really cause some damage. And this could take some pressure off your other stronger weapons that would rather shoot at higher armored targets. But really, I think they're going to be more effective at taking out like biker squads and things like that, normal Marines, because they do have that AP3, Devastator squads, I don't know, things like that. They're going to be really effective at taking those out if you can get them there, and if you can get them there cheaply, because they're if they don't kill everything that they're shooting at, they might just die in assault the next turn. Granted, they do have Overwatch, which gives them another opportunity. So I think if you can get them places and get them there cheaply, they could be effective. If you think about how well they work versus a normal fire warrior, that's when you really start to see the weakness, because if you have these guys standing still, a normal fire warrior is probably always going to be better, just because you're going to get an extra round of shooting at least with them, as opposed to these guys, which have such a limited range. Fire warrior with a pulse rifle, you're going to be able to get 1-2 rounds of shooting at least, and the difference in the weapon profile between a strength 6 AP3 and a strength 5 AP5 is not so great to compensate for fewer rounds of shooting to that extent. So that's why these guys need to be mobile, and because they need to be mobile, they're not going to really benefit from the support drone, because you're not going to be able to deploy it effectively. And all fire warriors, I feel, are not going to benefit from the Guardian drone, just because the things that kill fire warriors are generally not low AP. It's generally volume of fire, not things that would be alleviated by having an invulnerable save. Not always true, of course. And so this could come in handy, but maybe not necessarily to the extent of spending points on it like this. Granted, that might interact with some new rules that could maybe make it a 4-up invulnerable save. Maybe there's something with this new piece of Tau terrain that could boost that, and that would be really awesome, and definitely be worth it. But I don't know. We'll see. So I'm pretty on the fence on the Guardian drone. Definitely don't see the tactical support turret being worth it for these guys, but it would be really interesting for a standard gunline fire warrior unit with pulse rifles. So if you have the same options with pulse rifle, striker team fire warriors, the turret is definitely something that I would take for them, but not for the breacher team. Other options that you have with these guys: upgrade them to a Shazwi, give them marker light and target lock, could take a couple drones, give them EMP grenades, this turret, bonding knife. Probably not necessary upgrades for reasons I've stated in many of my videos. If you do put them in a Devilfish, you might want to just give them EMP grenades anyway, so you can kind of do a thing where you come up to a transport, throw EMP grenades at it, and then next turn you're able to shoot them. But that seems like a good way to get assaulted too. Good way to get assaulted too. But yeah, sorry, we're in a hotel and my wife's telling me I'm loud in the morning, so sorry, sorry guys. Yeah. So I think really the essential upgrades are going to be taking a max unit of these guys, putting them in a Devilfish. And on that note too, max unit is now 10, not 12. So that means that you can take a max unit plus drones and put it in Devilfish and not worry about any issues there. And so that's probably going to be the same for the normal Fire Warriors as well as Striker team. But yeah, so that's an interesting change and just something worth noting. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the Breacher team. I think they could be really interesting if you can get them there, get them to places across the board cheaply, but if you can't, then they're just not going to work. And so you could see a little bit of a revival of the Fish of Fury strategy, where you take a few, multiple Devilfish and multiple Fire Warrior teams and just go out there. And this could be really interesting too with a Ethereal and Storm of Fire, which would give them another shot. On that note, there is a new Ethereal model coming out, and that's with the Raven Guard versus Tau campaign. There's a special character Ethereal model that's on like a hover drone. That's pretty cool looking, and that's exciting. Additionally, there's confirmation that indeed Tau are getting their own piece of terrain. It's called the Tidewall, and it consists of multiple barricade segments and then these circular, I don't know what you would call them, just ramparts maybe, the circular areas where you can put more dudes, and they're presumably protected by that as well. And then it also has this really cool feature of like a tower that looks like it's probably about 8 inches tall, maybe. And that is pictured having a rail gun on it, a rail cannon on it. And that would be a nice thing to have. But it's like $160 US for this piece of terrain, so you might want to spend your money on something else, and we have no idea what the rules are yet, but it looks like it could be interesting, especially if it has some non-obvious rules interactions, like increasing the guardian drone effect, or increasing supporting fire range or something. I don't know, but there could be some really interesting rules there with that. Potentially that could make it really interesting. But yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back to my normal equipment tomorrow, and can hopefully provide you with a little bit more compelling videos at that point. But until then, thanks for watching, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Happy wargaming.